Episode 270, Midlife and the Nervous System Shift with Leah Davidson.
Welcome to Latter-day Life Coaches, the podcast where each episode is a conversation between me, Heather Rackham, and one of my amazing coach colleagues. Each coach here is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and a highly trained, experienced life coach making a great impact in the lives of their clients. And together, we have one main goal, helping you live your best life no matter what. You ready for this conversation with a coach? Here we go.
Midlife can feel like an unraveling, but what if it's actually recalibration? In this empowering conversation, Heather sits down with nervous system expert Leah Davidson to explore what's really happening in a woman's brain and body during midlife. From hormonal shifts and identity changes to empty nesting and evolving relationships, Leah reframes this season not as a breakdown, but as neurological transition and divine remembering. If you've ever wondered, what is happening to me? This episode will help you understand your nervous system, quiet shame-filled narratives, and step confidently into the second half of your life with resilience and purpose. Please enjoy.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast today. I have Coach Leah Davidson with me. Hey Leah, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm sure Leah won't care if I tell you that she's recording while she's kind of on semi-vacation. So that's fun, but not fun for her at the same time.
It's always fun. It's always a privilege to get to go away. And like we've talked about, you get opportunities every time you travel to regulate your nervous system. So I'm passionate about the nervous system. I'm passionate about travel. Let's put them together.
Yeah, well, that works well. I'm currently in Leah's advanced nervous system training. I don't know if it's got a better name I don't know if it has a full name that I'm missing it.
The advanced training in nervous system resilience. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
And I was just telling her that she has given me much needed permission and a way to repurpose the stress that I experience when we travel, which is a lot right now for some specific things that we're doing. And so I think of Leah all the time. I'm like, oh, thank you, Leah. Like I have a reason. This is giving me a purpose.
Repurpose what we all experience in a better way. Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. And I'm all about repurposing when I can. But all right. So we've kind of given maybe people a sneak peek about what you do. But before we get started, why don't you tell people about you, who you work with, what you do? You've been on before, but in case people haven't heard from you.
Well, I was thinking about that. I was thinking what we've talked about before, and everything has been in the vein of what I do, which is all about nervous system resilience. My background is I'm a speech language pathologist working in the area, traumatic brain injury. So neuroscience, nervous system was always my jam. Moved over into the coaching world, started working with people and their nervous systems. And then eventually the past 4 years, I've been running the advanced training in nervous system resilience, helping coaches and helping professionals learn how to integrate it in their work. And then also I have like helping the personal side, the everyday person, the everyday human, so to speak. And really just in the past little while, I guess, as I have come solidly into midlife with all the experience that midlife brings. I've been in midlife for a while, but I'm sort of like, okay, empty nesting, things are shaping up, really starting to look at the impact of the nervous system and midlife. And I was thinking back on our conversations. I think you and we've talked about trauma. We've talked about chronic pain in the nervous system. We've talked about creativity in the nervous system. And it's amazing how the nervous system is at the root of so many things. And I think that's why when I start looking at midlife, I'm like, well, midlife, we get symptoms and pain and unresolved trauma, and we have creative outlets. So it all sort of comes together under this umbrella. And that's what I'm passionate about still, shouting from the rooftops. Your nervous system is your most valuable resource. And are you befriending it? Are you working with it? Are you working against it? And do you know how it can benefit your life?
Well, you're kind of singing to the choir here, because here I sit in my pool of midlife tried to figure it all out as well.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you have these resources for me and for so many people, because I think for so long, and we know this, like it has just gone unrecognized. And it's nice that the language is opening up, the story is opening up. We have words to describe it. And anyway, so I'm grateful for you for kind of jumping in there in this to this particular framework, to this particular age in our lives as well, so that we can access all those tools. But I'm curious what actually happens then. So as we get started here, what happens in a woman's like midlife nervous system? What's different? What's changing? Why is there a need to discuss it?
I love too that we're opening up conversations around midlife and around menopause and perimenopause and what happens, because those are all very real things that women have gone through. And like you said, there hasn't been language, there hasn't been discussion about it. I still kind of think that the missing piece is about the nervous system. I think a lot of us hit this stage of life and start to feel like there's almost this unraveling of everything. We have hormonal shifts. So you feel it in your body, and sometimes you can't even label it. And, all of a sudden emotions, difficulty with regulation, difficulty with body temperature, difficulty, just even communication and brain fog and word finding. Just even recording this podcast, I'll have word finding things. And so you start to see it, and then it's hard to put a name on it. And you start thinking, what's wrong? And then I think, the whole body, you look in the mirror. I look in the mirror and I expect to see my 30-year-old self, because that's how I feel inside. And I'm like, whoa, who's that? Like my hair is thinning, and so many different things are changing. And then our roles are changing too. Whereas, we, especially those of us who are mothers, we have sort of established an identity. I think of like the number of times that people haven't even called me Leah. I've been like Zach and Josh's mom. And, just that label. And then all of a sudden, that world has shifted too. So I think that we start feeling a little bit unmoored with our identity. And then often we are looking at changes in what we do every day. If we were primarily at home or if we were working, we used to be juggling million different things. And now there's different responsibilities. We have different relationship with our partners, because let's face it, it's been like 20 something years that we have just been, dealing with the ups and downs of life. So our nervous system, you just think of it, it's like had weight on top of weight on top of weight on top of weight. And so the capacity level, and then we turn and we start having challenges, like maybe our parents are getting older and they're going through challenges and require support. Or, we're confronting mortality in ways that friends are developing illnesses, people are losing partners. There's the gray divorce, people going through divorces at this age. And so it is a lot of change for a nervous system that doesn't quite have the capacity because of the biology. We're lacking sleep, we're lacking the movement changes. So there's just so much going on in the nervous system, so much going on around us. And we are wondering, why am I not dealing with it the exact same way I used to deal with it 20 years ago? I like to say it's not that we're completely unraveling, although it feels like we are completely unraveling. But I think we need to shift our language, that it is a recalibration. We are coming full circle back to remembering who we divinely have always been, and now wanting to design what my next half of life is going to be with that remembrance and that becoming of who I have always been.
Okay, recalibrating. I really like that.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, I make those things, all those things that you just described, I interpret them in some way and I make them mean something about me and about the different, multiple different things. My brain's really good at that. Most human brains are. So like giving it that word recalibrate is really helpful. But I would love to know, what are some of the common ways that women kind of misinterpret all of those things that are probably not very useful and helpful for them.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that, like you said, we make meaning on it. So there is something like we're weak and we don't have the ability, the emotional strength to do it, which the truth is sometimes we don't have the emotional strength anymore. We have we don't have the same energy level. We don't have the same, we've been giving. Many of us have been giving and not stopping and refueling. And we just think that, oh, why is my bucket empty? Well, my bucket is empty because I haven't really done anything to fuel. So we start thinking that we are broken. There's something wrong with me, when really it is, well, we've been lacking some of the self-care. I think that that idea of maybe also not having accomplished what we wanted to accomplish, we start looking around and we start taking stock of what other people are doing. And so making it mean like I haven't done enough in my life, or what I have done hasn't been worthwhile. What's wrong with me? I wasn't ambitious enough, or I wasn't committed enough, or I wasn't disciplined enough. So we start creating all these meanings that really are trying to, we've talked in nervous system, how your body feels, your mind will make up stories. Well, sometimes what's happening is hormonally and our body is changing and it's going through its own transition and it doesn't necessarily feel good. And so the brain starts to make up the stories. Well, I'll tell you why you don't feel good. It's because you didn't do this or you didn't do that and you don't have much time left. And look, you're aging. You should have taken better care of yourself. You should have done that, which piles on, some shame. And then we start going through that whole blame cycle. And then I think also we make it mean, like I look at, I have a blended family of 5 kids and they're all pretty much left the house except for the 2 little ones still kind of come back and forth. But their lives are changing too. They are creating, their lives on their own. They have partners. They're going off. They don't need me as much. They're not turning to me for, it used to be the daily check-in and the advice giving. And they start doing things differently. They meet partners. And all of a sudden I'm like, well, we didn't teach them that. And they're doing it that way. So I can also start making it mean, was I a bad mother? Or they're not calling me as much as they used to. Or I have one who's traveling right now and he's away. And I joke with the moms of the friends he's traveling with. And we're all sort of this comparison, like we used to be the center of their world. And now it's like, have you heard from them? Have you heard from them? And if you're not careful, you can interpret that as, what did I do wrong? They don't love me. Why aren't they calling me? Or you can interpret it as, they are solid. They are enjoying their life. They have the confidence to go out and know that I am always here, but they don't have to have that check-in, that constant check-in. So how we reframe things, we often reframe it with a lot of blame and shame for ourselves.
All of those stories that we tell ourselves and like we come by it naturally, right? Like our brain is,
right?
It's just doing that, it's not helpful in the whole thing either, right? Like we add that, like you add those stories onto already feeling different in our lives, and then it's just like piling things upon other things. I find one of the most common stories I tell myself is when I start to notice myself feeling different and not like in a way that I, like physically, like I just don't like have a little bit less energy or whatever. My brain will say, well, it's just never going to be the same again. Like, it's just all downhill from here. It's just going to keep getting worse. And that is one of the worst rabbit holes that my brain goes down, because then I just start to see this long road of.
Right.
So anyway.
And that's why reframing it from the unraveling to the recalibration, because unraveling implies that I'm coming apart at the seams and everything is never going to be. It's going to be disastrous. It's never going to be the same. Whereas for me, the idea of, I may be unraveling who I was and the roles, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It is recalibrating, repurposing, and a remembering of who I was before all the caretaking and all the demands that were put on me, some by choice, some not by choice, and stepping into sort of the second chapter and saying like, okay, there's a whole life ahead of me. And we know that women have the potential of doing great things throughout their life. It certainly doesn't stop at a certain age. And I think once we hit middle age and we do have, sometimes a lighter load. Sometimes it's heavier where we're that sandwich generation. But it's okay for us to start turning around and saying, right, okay, where am I now? And what do I want to do? What's the legacy that I do want to create here in the second half of my life?
Yeah, that's so good and so true. I think that unraveling that you speak of just naturally makes us start to feel like when we think that, like that we're breaking, like there's a, like we're failing, our bodies are failing, right? We're moving towards this piece of failure. And I love kind of reframing it that it's just like you have said before, a neurological transition. Because it makes it sound so less like something's falling apart. I don't know. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, because we know we are shifting, right? There's neurological changes happening all the time. The nervous system is changing all the time. It's learning. And then our biology, hormones at this stage of life do change. We lose a lot of our protective hormones, which have helped us with stress. So we sort of lose that buffer. And that's why sometimes we'll start to feel a lot more stress. So it becomes even more important that we develop tools for stress resilience. And yes, some of it may be, this is why you want to have a holistic approach to it, I think, because I know for me, hormone replacement therapy is part of it. It's not going to be for everybody depending on their needs, but it's also what are the other tools that I can use? How can I build up my resilience to handle some of the things that I used to just naturally handle? And then how can I build up my resilience for all these new things? Because if you remember the nervous system, it tags danger when something is unfamiliar. And let me tell you, just like taking a sliver out of your life, like I look at the unfamiliar of even, in our family, a couple of our kids are married and have partners. Okay, that's a lot of unfamiliarity when you have whole new dynamics shifting, when new people step into your family. All of a sudden, my nervous system is like, this used to be my oasis, and now all of a sudden this feels like danger. And so I have to learn, how do I build up my own resilience? How do I build up the capacity to navigate all the transitions that naturally occur as people evolve and get older and expand their families?
Is such a good point. My oldest has been married for almost 5 years now. I jokingly call her husband my favorite child. I mean, I'm kind of honest, like I'm kind of being truthful. I love him. And one of my other daughters just got engaged, and I was saying, happy birthday to my favorite child as we were celebrating my son-in-law's birthday. And somebody said, you're not going to be able to say that for much longer because there'll be another in-law in the family. And it'll be, and I'm like, I know, I'm going to have to start thinking about that. But also, can we talk about, I have another little silly thing, hormone replacement. Like I told you, I've been traveling a lot lately, and I was leaving town last week and realized that I had forgotten to pick up my little estrogen patch. So I was going to be without having my patch to replace it while I was out of town. So I texted my sister, who conveniently lives next door and who is also doing hormone replacement. I'm like, hey, do you have an estrogen patch that I can borrow and I'll replace when I get back? Because I'm leaving before I can get to the pharmacy before it opens. And she's like, oh, there's no one else I'd rather share estrogen with than besides you, one of my sisters. Anyway, but it's so funny that we are, I don't know, that's just a different conversation than we would have ever had before.
Well, funnily, one of the last times we were away, my estrogen, I will say I forgot, but it was due to my husband's mistake. But anyhow, I arrived and I realized I didn't have it. And we were going to be gone for, I think it was 5 days. And I was just like, I said to him, you're going to pay. You're going to pay for this. Not because I'm going to do anything, but because my hormones. But yeah, I think that it is part of it, right? We do know that, and there's a lot of conversation about that. And obviously, this is a conversation to have with your physician. But I think we do know there's a lot of protective qualities, and a lot of it does have to do with, mood stabilization and sleep, and a lot of the foundational things, nutrition and the way we process stress and the cortisol levels in our system. A lot of these things directly tie to our nervous system and the capacity we have to manage. So when you start to think like there's a lot of changes in our life, kids changing, parents getting older, dynamics all around changing, and then then our body is like, oh, as you're going to be doing all these really stressful new things, we're going to make it so that it's going to be harder for you to stabilize your mood and sleep and build muscle and have energy and all these things. So it's sort of like we've got the stressors going up and the capacity just naturally going down. We got to find a way to balance that.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to have a conversation? Like one of my first conversations when we get back to Heavenly Parents is like, and why? Why was this part of the process?
And Heavenly Mother, why did you allow this?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? Yeah, I know. It is. It's sort of interesting when we think about. It's also there's so many things on so many different levels. You realize how the human body and what is behind everything and what are we supposed to be learning from it. And it is quite an amazing thing to sort of sit behind and marvel at our biology and neuroscience and all those things. Yes, I have a list of questions.
I know. Same. Hopefully I don't lose that list because I'm pretty good at losing things lately.
That's part of it. By the time I get there, well, that's the other thing, right? So by the time I get there, I may not remember because of all the brain fog. Mm-hmm. But the other thing that I notice is that sometimes we do stop caring in terms of it is also the opportunity to step into, I'm not as worried anymore about what people think or what people say. Now, sometimes I do have to filter myself, but I do think, there's that Instagram account of the woman, the We Don't Care Club, and she she lists all the things that when you hit menopause that you just don't care about. And it is kind of true. Like there is part of it has to do with hitting that point in our life. And then we have all these natural changes where we just don't care as much. We are less wanting to people please. We've been taking care of people for a long time. It's a heavy load. And we want to put the load down. And this is time, and it's not a selfish thing. This is time for us to take care of ourselves, to refuel ourselves. And again, a remembering of who we always have divinely been that has been buried under so many of the demands of us taking care of everyone else around us.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it back to shining some light on some of the good things that also happened too in this period of our lives, right? There is some wisdom, there is some grace that we allow ourselves. There is, some space. We're not as susceptible to judgment, from thinking that we're being judged by other people. And if we are, we don't care. There's a lot of good that comes at this phase in our life as well.
And I would argue that it's more good. Yeah. I think one of the conversations that are happening are great conversations. But I do think it's focused, like I said, right from the beginning, it's focused a lot on the unraveling and how do we stop the unraveling. And I think some of it is like, okay, let's let it unravel. Let's rebuild where we need to, where we can be strong and taking care of ourselves. And let's focus on what opportunities, we've got blank paper in front of us to author whatever we want in the next phase. This is an incredible time of life for women everywhere. And I think we're going to be the generation to step in and own. In fact, I sort of look like our kids are probably the same age. And, you look at a lot of influencers and you look on Instagram and all the people who get all the likes and all the comments. And I'm like, why aren't people looking at women in their middle age and being like, you go, girl, you've got it? Because wisdom, I think, is the most beautiful, brilliant thing. And I think we need to start celebrating that more. And we need to be looking towards who are the leaders in midlife, paving the way for the next generation. We've been paving the way all the way along. And now I think we deserve some recognition. And I think it's us who needs to stand up and call it out and say, I am proud to be in my 50s and you just watch me. This is going to be an incredible season for me and the people around me.
Yeah, that is so powerful. Just even thinking that to myself, right? Just watch me. I have so much that I can still do. So I would love if you could share with us maybe what are some ways that we can work with our nervous system at this point in our life rather than fighting it, which is, I think we're all pretty good at fighting it, but let's learn to also sit on the same side of the table and work with it.
Yeah. And, a lot of it doesn't change in terms of there are some basic foundational tools that we can use. The nervous system thrives on some of the fundamentals: sleep, nutrition, movement, connection. Those are sort of some four core ones. Now, if you look at sleep, it gets interrupted because of hormones, which is why we want to take care of ourselves. And nutrition, we're starting to, the hormones are changing. And so we need the extra boost in things. So taking care of our food. Movement becomes even more important, not just to manage stress, which it does, it helps us cycle through, but to become stronger so that we're preventing future things from happening. And then just connection in general. Those things, they do help shape your nervous system. They do help build and support a strong nervous system. And then I think it's also really, really important to start to get to know what things feel like in your own body. Meaning that sometimes we have been on autopilot. We have think of how many times I'll bring it back to a mother. That's my experience. But how many times I've skipped eating. I've gotten up when I have been way too tired. I have not gone to the bathroom all day long or not had a sip of water because I was so busy taking care of the needs of everybody else. Well, sometimes what happens is it gets to the point where here you are and I'm like, I don't even recognize those cues because I have shut them down so often. And I think that is why the importance of spending a little bit of stillness. Do you notice how you even breathe? Is your breath only to your chest? Does your breath go down to your belly? Do you notice those little things? You put a hand on your heart. Can you feel your heartbeat? Really getting into your body to start becoming aware of what feels good, what doesn't feel good, because that is the key to your nervous system, is understanding the internal cues and then being able to give yourself what it is that you need. Do you need rest? Do you need movement? Do you need laughter? Do you need connection? And so those are some things, especially in midlife, we've got to slow down and do. And that doesn't necessarily feel very safe when we are used to be going, and then double going, taking care of everybody, juggling all the balls. It can almost feel like a lot of people will start to feel guilty, or they'll feel lazy, or they'll feel selfish. But that's exactly what we need to start to do.
Well, and let me tell you what else happens for me is when I slow down, it makes space in my brain to just start running rampant with its own story of, I don't doom or demise or something that I'm doing wrong, right? It just it creates its own mess of a story. And I have a really hard time trying to set, even if I'm intentionally trying to meditate or just intentionally just trying to be still for a moment, my brain just it fights against it so much.
Yeah. Which brings me to my tool that I love talking about. And if anybody has heard me, you've probably heard me talk about it so often in the training, which is called the safety sequence. And the safety sequence is a way of getting in touch with our nervous system in the moment. It's a way of practicing, and I'll share it with you in a second. But the benefit of it is it allows us to have drops of this downtime to interrupt that cycle of thoughts of whatever it is, whether it's just catastrophizing thoughts or it's just ruminating, going over and over and worry. So what the safety sequence is, it's a slowing down in the moment and a relaxation. So it's 3 steps. And what you do is you stop and you ask yourself, am I safe? And people always think what? That's ridiculous. Why would I ask that? Well, because your brain thinks that a lot of things aren't safe. Anything, as I said before, anything unfamiliar, anything I've never done before. They looked at me sideways. I'm breathing shallow. The brain interprets it. The nervous system says you're not safe. So am I safe? You get in the present moment. You look around. You get clear on your senses. What do you smell? What do you see? The second thing then is you get into your body, which is what I was talking about before. Do you even know what it feels like in your body to feel good or to feel bad? Do you feel safe or unsafe? Because sometimes I'll say, ask yourself, do I feel safe? And people are like, I don't even know what safety feels like. Well, that's because we got to spend more time in our body. And then the third step after you've done it is you acutely relax your body. And by doing that, you can either I do the ragdoll where you just let all your muscles go limp, or you just do a low and slow breath. And those 3 steps, what it does is it teaches your brain to be in the present moment. It teaches your nervous system what it feels like to have safety. And a relaxed body can't house stress. And so for that split second, it takes you away from your tornado of thoughts. It takes you away from all the judgment of I should be doing something else. It brings you into that moment of safety. So your body gets a glimpse of, oh, this is what it feels like to feel safe and to feel good. And then you'll get back and you'll be spinning and you'll be doing that. And you keep grounding yourself back to that. If you keep doing that over and over, you start craving that. So then rest doesn't feel dangerous anymore. If you've been practicing it over and over and over, it feels restorative. It feels like just to have that moment. That's the importance of practicing it throughout the day.
I love that safety sequence, first of all, because it is so simple, right? Like it's not, oh, what was it again? It doesn't seem like a real long, because heaven help us, I have a hard time remembering, and I think most of us do at this phase. But it's simple. And to your point, how you said some people are like, that seems like a silly question to ask, am I safe? But for me, just even quietness feels unsafe, like I said. And so it is not a silly question to ask. It's very valid because the simplest things can seem unsafe to our body.
Yeah. And our body is always talking to us. It's interesting because the other thing that often starts to surface in midlife and often beforehand is we start to see people having a lot of struggles with chronic pain, chronic symptoms, digestive or headaches or just pain in general. We just chalk it up to we're getting older. Yeah, things happen when we get older, but more often than not, a lot of the chronic symptoms that we experience are really as a result of being in a state of dysregulation, being unsafe for so long. And the more we can introduce safety into our life, the more we will see our symptoms start to diminish. It ties all the way back to that discussion we had, I don't know, probably last year or 2 years ago about chronic pain and illness. It's tied to our nervous systems. And so we start to see as we get older, we got to stop and wonder, is it because I'm just getting older and my body's falling apart? Or is it because my nervous system has been at max capacity for so long? And now my body's like, hey, enough already. And we usually stop when we get symptoms and pain. It's one of the few things that will stop us in our tracks. Whereas it's been whispering to us all along, slow down, take a break, slow down. And we won't do it until something's like, well, your back is out, your neck is out, you have a migraine, you have vertigo, you have, cramps, whatever it is. We'll stop and listen to that. And that's often our nervous system telling us, you've pushed it too long.
Okay, that makes me think of one of the favorite things that you said this week in our training was that if the body and the brain disagree, the body will always win. And that's essentially what you're saying right there, is that that our body's going to eventually shut us down if we don't take the time to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why that's why I use the term befriending your nervous system. Get to know your nervous system's in charge, whether you know it or not. You might as well be investing in it and learning it and taking care of it and it's not so that we can live this life that's blissful and joyful, although that does happen, but it's so that we can have capacity to handle all the things that life gives us without completely getting hijacked by it. So we expand our capacity to handle all our emotions, all the stressors. It's not going to change. We're still going to have stressors, but we just have the confidence and the resilience and the tolerance and the compassion to be able to handle all these things that midlife is giving us.
Thank you. This feels like a gift that midlife is giving us, though, too, right now, is just learning and being able to embrace some new things, because it's also exciting to recognize that there are things that we can do, and we're not quote unquote unraveling. Like, this is like a doorway that's opening up for us, and it's so fun.
This is an opportunity. This is especially we can, mindset is important. As much as I love singing the praises of the nervous system, mindset is a twin over here. And it is important. I think nervous system work comes first. You have to be regulated to access your mindset. But if you can regulate yourself and your mindset and reframe, this is an incredible time of life. It is a gift to be getting older every single day. It is an absolute gift. So we want to make sure that we are writing some pretty incredible chapters.
Yeah. I want to write some good chapters right now.
I know.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So if there's somebody listening, and I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who are feeling like, yeah, I am just losing myself right now. I can't even find her. I can't find me in here. What would you want them to understand about what's happening right now?
That they are not weak or broken or falling apart, that this is actually a natural transition, but it is a remembering. And transitions can be difficult, but they can also be beautiful. And to be patient and start investing in you. And not necessarily, I mean, you can go out and invest in you and great clothes and do all the things that feel good, but just investing in you, that time, that quiet space, the activities that maybe you used to do and you used to love and you just have set them aside. Start prioritizing you. It's so easy to prioritize everybody else in our life, especially our kids. And this is a time now, it kind of is your time now. And even if you want to be like, well, I want to be there for my family, there is no better gift to give your family than a regulated mom, wife, partner, woman who is forging ahead and setting the tone for what midlife can be for our future generations. And I want to be an example to my kids. I want to lead a life. I look at my kids now, they're doing such amazing things and they're traveling and their adventures. I'm so envious. And I keep saying to my husband, I want to lead a life that they're envious of too. And so do that. Make the time. We have the resources. We have the time. So forge ahead and do it because you're not broken. There's a transition, yes, but it's a recalibration.
Okay, so 3 words that have really stood out to me today from this conversation, and they all start with R. It was recalibrate, regulate, and remember. Remember, it might be my favorite one because I feel like that's what we're doing here in general in life is just remembering who God created us to be, who our heavenly parents, like what's inside of us. I think it's all there. We were born with everything we needed. We're just here trying to uncover it and remember what's there. So I love it. Thank you for using that word at the end. Leah, before we leave today, can you tell people how they can connect with you?
Yes. Well, there's so many ways. I'm on Instagram at Leah Davidson Life Coaching. I have a podcast called Building Resilience, which I talk a lot about stuff like this. And I am moving forward. You know, I've got groups and memberships really focusing on midlife. I'm going to be doing a masterclass at probably next month, really focusing on midlife. So if we're connected, then you'll hear more about it because I just think it's such a beautiful stage and I want to embrace it and I would welcome others to come along on that journey.
Thank you. Well, I want to come. I'm on that journey too, and I'm so happy that you are part of my story and helping me along the way here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your travels.
Thank you. Will do.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us, and we will see you again next time. Have a good one.
Hey, we just wanted to thank you for spending part of your day here with us at Latter-day Life Coaches and being part of this conversation. Share this with your friends so that you can have a conversation with them on this topic as well. And as always, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a good one, my friends.